Also, yeah, now you go.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool. Also, hello to the CEO of AT&T. That's cool. Next up, we have Emmie Nostitz. Emmie's first job in advertising was won through a silent auction, where she was the only person to bid on the internship. Since that first internship at JWT Chicago, she has created work across all platforms for some of the top global companies like Google, Pepsi, Jim Beam, LG. Twice named to the top 30 under 30 creatives list for Young Guns, Emmie has been recognized globally and won the first ever Cannes Grand Prix in mobile for her work on Google's Re-Brief. Before joining Droga5, Emmie worked at Johannes Leonardo and the Barbarian Group. Emmie is from North Carolina, and her father is from Austria. And I feel like I have to say this because this was in your bio. No, she does not know Arnold Schwarzenegger. Please welcome Emmie Nostitz.
Thanks. So, hi. So, Agency Life, this is my book, so I have notes in it, but this is literally every note I've taken at the agency in the last 3 months. So, that's... which button? I hit this one. So that's me. I'm a creative director at Droga5. If you look me up, I will be in a sea of lots of other really talented and probably more talented than myself people. We all look very professional and seem like we have it together. This is who I really am. This is me on set. It was a shoot I did in LA for Android. This is me looking at a paint color on the floor, trying to decide which is the correct color for a shoot. And that's my producer, Goldie, in the background, terrified that I'm going to change my mind. And I think that's it. It kind of speaks volumes to how I approach creative and like the things I try and do. And the reason I think I've been at Droga for so long, it'll be 3 years this week. And the biggest thing is that we all really just give a shit about everything. From like the big stuff to the color of paint on a floor that probably no one else is ever gonna see. You know, every decision is a big decision. I had a meeting with a client one time and they were new to production and they said, well, how do you make these decisions? You know, how do you choose a director? How do you choose the color of a shirt? And I just kept saying to them, you know, all of these decisions matter. You may not understand, but when I pick a yellow shirt, it's going to affect how it looks on screen. It's going to affect the edit. It's going to do these things. And that's the difference between good and great. And I think it's really important that, you know, you just continually push and you push your clients and you push the people around you. And I think that's why, you know, I've had success, you know, and why I'm here and why I love what I do. So that's me in a nutshell. So I have just like 3 kind of big, broad topics to talk about, and I've attached them to pieces of work that I've done while at Droga. So the first is become an expert. So this is my desktop. This is what it usually looks like. It stresses a lot of people out. I'm actually very organized and a very neat human. The fact that my desktop looks like this is bizarre to most people. But this just goes to show, like, I'm an art director, so it's funny, I learn through pictures, so that's why my desktop looks like this. I literally just, the second I get an assignment, I look and I hunt and I find images and I, you know, find inspiration and I pull it onto my desktop, and for some reason, this all makes sense to me. It makes sense to no one else. My partner, Donnell, he's a numbers person, so he reads and sits with numbers and reads articles, and so it's this beautiful combination we have where I'm looking at pictures and he's reading words, and we come together and we become experts on things, and it helps because, sorry, as I drop this, because that's what our clients need. They need people that are experts in their business. They are experts. They think they do know what's best, but we have to become experts in a different way. We have to know their business inside and out, and we have to understand and bring them new perspectives and things that are interesting for them, and so that they can speak to the world in a different way. So an example of this is, it was almost 2 years ago now that I worked on a brand called Shea Moisture, which is a predominantly African-American hair product in the US. They are small. They started on Long Island. They're growing really quickly. They'd never had an ad agency before, so they came to Droga5 and they came to us. And I'm a woman. I have hair, but I don't really understand what it's like to be an African-American woman. And it was a whole side of an industry that I just didn't know existed. I didn't know that there were issues around hair. I didn't know that there was like real deep-rooted cultural things. And so we dove in and we talked to people and we interviewed people and we asked questions, and I looked on the internet, and I still have like folders and folders and folders and folders of hair files of like just different kinds of hairstyles and all these things, and I learned things that I never knew existed. And the challenge is that they came to us with this problem that the beauty aisle in America, which I didn't realize, was segregated. There was this whole section for African-American women, and then there was a section for everyone else. And it was shocking that in 2000, when I did this 16, that still existed. And what Shea Moisture was trying to do was bring their products into the normal, or what was considered the normal aisle. And we were tasked with, how do we launch something like that? How do we bring this to everyone's attention? So through, I have like two pieces to show. One, the first is a behind the scenes piece that we did while we were on set and just filming. We had a crew, and we wanted interviews and we wanted more information. And then the second is the spot that kind of resulted from that. And again, I think about becoming an expert is we got to set and we didn't really know what was going to happen. We knew that we wanted to cast real women, which I also kind of find to be bullshit, because who's not real? Everyone's a real person. But we wanted women that identified with the issues that we were trying to talk about and the things that we knew we wanted to accomplish. So the idea we ended up coming back to the client with and sold them on was this idea called break the walls. And if the beauty aisle was a wall, we were going to physically break it down and create a space that was for everyone. So I'm going to show the first behind the scenes thing, which is a little bit of a reverse order, but then I can show you how it helped evolve the spot. So this is the behind the scenes of Break the Walls.
Breaking down the walls. Take one. Sound is speeding. Quiet, please. Thank you. All right, rolling on the interviews.
Breaking down the walls is about making beauty accessible to all. Access to products that actually work for every hair texture and that are focused on our communities who have traditionally been underserved.
From the moment I stepped on set, it's just been amazing.
To be able to be a part of something like this, it's a dream.
When you say breaking down walls, you're giving other people permission to celebrate you for who you are.
There were times where people would make fun of my hair and I didn't know exactly how to take it.
I have definitely felt insecure of my hair type.
You're seeing what the media shows and what's beauty.
The way most beauty aisles are set up, you have the main beauty aisle and then a teeny tiny area around the corner on the other side, and you're like, wow.
When I have to shop at the ethnic aisles, I find that it's very limited.
They're secluding us. Why isn't it with the other hair products?
We are separate from, we're other than, this is mainstream beauty, and we are a corner of the store beauty.
Your products are different for some reason because you're different and this is your spot.
For far too long, beauty has been dictated. We have to continuously evolve and elevate to change that.
When I walk down an aisle, I would just like to see someone that looks like me as well. I would like to know that I am represented as well.
Beauty is not defined by ethnicity. We should be able to walk down a beauty aisle and see products for all types of hair.
All of us are beautiful, and there's no one right beauty.
To anyone out there who really just wants to embrace their natural look, I say go for it. Don't give up.
And don't try to compare yourself to anyone else's journey, because your journey is your own.
I would love to break down the walls and have everything on the same wall.
It's so beautiful, like, honestly.
It's important, you know. I'm noticing the change already.
What we started to see over the past few years is a positive movement by women to say, I'm gonna own my own beauty. And Shea Moisture has been there to help them do that.
So that was all the behind the scenes stuff, and it was interesting because we flew to California to shoot this, and we had a script, we had an idea, we had sold it, we had a director, it was great, we were like ready to go. It was like typical production where it was like too little money, not enough time, not enough people, and we hadn't slept. But we were there and we were shooting, and it was awesome. And we started doing behind the scene things, and I went out with Kevin Brady, who's a ECD at Droga, and he was there on set with me, and we started hearing these interviews and things like that, and we were like, oh my God, this is gonna change our edit. Like this is the real script that we need to have. And we had clients that were amazing that let us kind of get into an edit and change things on the fly. But it comes back to about being an expert. We couldn't tell this story the way that these women could tell this story. So what resulted was they became the voice of our spot, and we put it together to tell a narrative. And we had hours and hours of transcripts that we put together. And the actual closing line is the founder of Shea Moisture, and it felt like such a fitting end that their final piece of the pie was coming from them.
We just have been conditioned to go to the corner and find our spot where we've been placed.
There is a section called ethnic, and there is an aisle called beauty.
To be honest, we've dealt with it our whole lives to the point of internalizing it. Do I feel like I'm beautiful?
It's ethnic, not beautiful.
When I go to the beauty aisle, I feel secluded and out of place.
It's been frustrating. This is just the way it is.
How can I break down those walls?
We are Shea Moisture, and now we can be found in the beauty aisle, where we all belong.
So that's the first piece of work. So then the next thing I want to talk about is planning ahead, which is really hard because literally I wake up every day and something changes and it's different. I think this is important so to back up a little bit, this is a picture of my partner and I, Donnell. This is us in Chile this summer. We went around the world. We were gone for almost 6 weeks for Chase. And we left New York on this amazing shoot, and we were tasked with bringing home 3 TV spots. I wrote down what we ended up delivering. We ended up delivering 8 TV spots, 4 separate kind of travel videos, 4 Facebook films, 4 Snapchat videos, 6 Pinterest posts, 3 print ads, 4 banners, 10 Instagram posts, an entire collection of look and feel that has now set the trajectory for the brand. And it's like there's like 6 other things that I'm flying back to New York to deal with when this is over. But it just goes to show that it's funny because this picture kind of represents planning ahead and how we looked at this shoot. I didn't know someone was taking this picture, but I know exactly what we were talking about. And he and I were having a discussion about how we would film the next piece to get us something that we knew we wanted. We knew when we were flying around the world that we wanted to make more. We wanted more than 3 TV spots. We wanted extra content. We wanted this stuff to matter. We wanted it to be beautiful. We wanted it to be different for Chase. Chase had been in a place where the work's great, but it's been a little safe, and we really wanted to push our clients. So that's what we did. We found a director that was willing to never stop shooting. We had a photographer with us that never stopped taking pictures. And we came home with all this extra content. And so when we sat and edit, we just had stuff to work with. And we just kept bringing it to the client. We kept saying, look, we have this, and we have this. And we had a really good team around us in New York with comms and planning, and that helped create ecosystems that we could justify why we wanted these things out in the market. So, you know, it's funny because I always tell like my juniors, you know, think of something really big and you never know they might buy it. And I think it's always this carrot you give people and you're like, oh yeah, I don't know. But it's true. Like if I did it this summer, like we weren't supposed to have any of this stuff. And literally we came home and it's just, they couldn't get enough. And it's like, now I'm kicking myself in the ass that we didn't have like another camera with us, because we could have even done more. So it's something about, you know, pushing your clients to make the most of situations, but also pushing yourself and knowing the limits of an idea and knowing where it can go and knowing how it can influence people and change things. So this work is for Chase Sapphire and James Corden. So like I alluded to, we flew around the world for this spot. It was interesting because James was to star in this credit card commercial. It's a global, it's a card for travel. It's about going around the world. In James's contract, he does not travel. So that was an interesting issue that we had to deal with. So we knew we had to film James in LA, but we knew we wanted to go somewhere. So the whole idea revolved around James sending travelers around the world. And we sent people to every continent. So we ended up flying to Rome, Uganda, Tokyo, an island off the coast of Australia called Lord Howe, the Atacama Desert. Then Patagonia, we were trying to get to Antarctica, but it was the winter, so we couldn't get there. And then LA. So I have 3 spots that were 3 of the TV spots. And then I have some travel edits just to show the different things that we did. I'm really proud of this work because I think it feels different for the brand, and it's something where we're hoping that it's going to keep pushing them to do more innovative and interesting things. So this is again, this was an extra piece that we weren't supposed to do, but it ended up launching the entire campaign. We ran it the week of the Oscars, I believe, on TV. I think the Oscars or the Grammys or something. And this was like just a trailer. And this came about because we had an amazing editor. And he just started playing around and screwing around with stuff. And we fell in love with it. And so we turned it into something.
I am in Chile. This is the oldest building in Rome. Fancy. I'm on a rickshaw in Japan. I'm in Uganda, chasing gorillas. It's a supercar. This is incredible.
Is that a llama?
Sapphire Reserve from Chase. Make more of what's yours.
And so from there, we did, we just kept doing spots.
Keeps me busy. So I've asked Chase Sapphire Reserve card members to find my next vacation. Rome, show me something.
I'm having breakfast at the Pantheon.
What an amazing view of your finger.
Look at this
view.
Isn't that incredible?
Your finger.
And check this one out. Oh, it's so amazing.
Move your finger.
3 times points on travel and restaurants on every continent. Sapphire Reserve from Chase. Make more of what's yours.
I'm an outdoorsman, so I've asked Chase Sapphire Reserve card members to find my next vacation. Chili, what's going on?
I'm at the El Tatio Geysers.
Geezer.
Geyser.
Geezer.
Geyser.
Enough. Geezer.
Oh!
Dude, be careful.
I think you should come camping.
Why would I camp in the Atacama Desert? Oh.
3 times points on travel and restaurants on every continent. Sapphire Reserve from Chase. Make more of what's yours.
I am so busy. So I've asked Chase Sapphire Reserve card members to find my next vacation. Deja, where is that?
I'm on a rickshaw in Japan.
He's so fast.
Delicious.
I'm sorry.
Do you guys know who James Corden is?
Don't ask them that, it's embarrassing. Okay, that is embarrassing.
3 times points on travel and restaurants on every continent. Sapphire Reserve from Chase. Make more of what's yours.
So the other thing about this is that, what I didn't say is we left New York without scripts. We didn't really know what we were going to get because we didn't really have locations yet. It was like very fast. We also didn't really know what James was going to say and how he was going to react to these travelers. We shot all the travelers first. We came back to LA and kind of briefed James and said, okay, we were in Tokyo and eating sushi, and he ad-libbed some stuff, and it became funny. I credit to him. He's a great actor and a very good comedian because it feels like he's having real conversations with them. But that's also about, you know, planning ahead and knowing we had options for everything. We knew we couldn't shoot everything twice, so we had one main camera, and then we had iPhones and backup, and we knew that we could only have one shot at this, so we shot it every way we could, and came home with enough options that we would never be stuck in an edit. So those were supposed to be the only things we really delivered, and then we found that the people in the spots were real, and they had such amazing trips there, and like we became friends with them, and these were places they had always wanted to go. So we ended up making, and I'll show you 2 of them, spots just about the countries themselves, and to be used by the brand as just great pieces of travel footage. And we were looking at the way like other travel cards were doing things and stuff like that, and it felt like other travel cards were saying, this is our perfect trip, and here it is for you. And what we wanted to do was say this was someone else's trip, and it can inspire you to do that. So this first one is for Australia. It's Lord Howe. It's 300 people live on this island. It's an amazing place. The edit is really fast because it's very much like the woman Deja who went to Lord Howe with us. She is like never stops talking. And so that was the other thing, is we wanted everything to feel like the person that the edit was about. And then the next one is in Uganda with Elton. We spent a whole day tracking gorillas, which was, like, to say that I did that for my job was insane. So this was, so this is Uganda.
He's gone. This is crazy. There's a gorilla coming up right behind me.
So that's the newest work for Chase. That is like, some of these are actually not out yet. So I hope Facebook and all of you enjoy it. But it's going to slowly start rolling out over the next like 6 months. So the last thing I kind of want to talk about is question everything. I was kind of trying to find themes for this, and I was trying to figure out how I do things. So I took a snapshot of my inbox, and I looked up how many times I've asked or said the word question. It's a lot in like the last few days. I guess month, but the word question alone, that's all I do. I drive everyone crazy because I'm like, wait, but I have a question, or can you please explain this to me, or I don't really understand why it's like this. Or, and I think it's just so important because that's what clients are paying us to do. They need answers, they need solves, and they need smart solves. And I think if my job was just to say yes all the time, I wouldn't do the work I do. And it's not about being an asshole, and it's not about being rude, and it's not about being combative, but it's about, again, it comes back to a little bit of being an expert and also planning ahead, but it's about just question everything that's around you. Question why you're going to shoot it that way. Question, is that the right way to shoot it? Question, is that the right idea? Is that the right way to look at it? The best ideas I've ever had as a creative were things where I took something and I broke it in half and turned it upside down and something great came out of it. So with that, the last piece of work I want to show is I did a piece for the New York Times recently. This was probably one of the hardest assignments I've ever had. One, because I try not to be very political. It's a little hard now because everything is political. But I also think that we were at a really interesting time about what was going on. Like, we didn't know what was going to happen. There were questions about, the election and how things were going. And the New York Times came to us and said, listen, our sales are down. Like, people don't trust us. We need to know, like, how to navigate this and what can we do. This piece of work started as a Facebook post that we sold as a spot that turned into a spot that actually ran on the Oscars last year. Then all of a sudden they bought $1 million worth of out of home. They bought banners. It's changed their business. And that's not to say that I did it or, I think collectively our team did an amazing thing, but it was also just a perfect moment in time. But it was one of those things that we questioned every decision that we made because it was so easy for us to just attack Trump and say that he was terrible. And we had a lot of meetings about where the line was, how far could we go, how much should we say, we kept coming back to this about the notion of truth and what truth is, and it's about figuring out what the reality of the world looks like. And in that, we found that you couldn't pick a side. You had to try and show both, and you had to be impartial. So we came up with it was a wild roller coaster of emotions and things and all this stuff. But so I have the case study that I can show you that's like a culmination of all the work. So this is the New York Times.
The game plan is clearly to attack the press and hope it distracts us from reporting the facts.
I want you all to know that we are fighting the fake news.
His administration refused to allow several reporters into an on-the-record session.
The New York Times is coming out with a new national ad campaign this weekend. It asks this question: how do we arrive at the truth?
So one of the Oscar moments that has everybody talking this morning wasn't even part of the show.
Take a quick look at this commercial.
The truth is, our nation is more divided than ever.
The truth is, alternative facts are just plain delusional.
The media needs to be held accountable.
The truth is, locker room talk is harmless. The truth is, we need to put the safety of the American people.
The truth is, we need a full investigation of any ties to Russia.
The truth is,
It's a multifaceted ad campaign.
It's not actually a defense of their reporting, it's just a defense of reporting.
President Trump reacted to it on Twitter, writing, "The failing New York Times will take an ad, a bad one, to help save its failing reputation."
There's a giant billboard on top of the New York City Port Authority bus terminal.
The ad's message is that the truth is more important now than ever.
This ad designed to get you to go online, sign up for the New York Times, and defend truth.
The New York Times is releasing their first TV commercial in years.
Trump is a climate change denier.
Trump is a bully.
Trump is America's gullible uncle.
If you work for anything with the word Times in it, I'd like to ask you to leave the building right now, okay?
The New York Times is experiencing a surge in subscriptions because there is a demand for truth.
In fact, our digital subscriptions are going through the roof. Even print subscriptions are up.
Our role is to not accept easy answers.
About an hour from now, a rally in support of a free press is set to start in Manhattan.
We make movies in the pursuit of a deeper truth. Truth is hard to reveal, but when it happens...
Our mission is to find the truth.
So that was it. So that was the New York Times stuff. So that's kind of all I have. But all of these things, you know, asking questions, becoming an expert, planning ahead, all these things. It's like, it's all really easy to say, but at the end of the day, it's so important. And I think it's even more important to have fun. Someone asked me the other day about my partner, Donnell, and he's one of my greatest friends. And it's funny because we leave the office every day and give each other a hug and a kiss on the cheek, and we say, okay, we'll see you tomorrow. And that's the point of all this, is that it's like, sure, I can do great stuff for the New York Times. I can fly around the world for Chase. I can, you know, change conversations about hair. But if I'm not having fun and I don't like the people I'm around, it doesn't really matter. And I think so it's find a place that you love, find people that you love, find things that inspire you, and then just do it to the best that you can and don't stop. And so that's kind of my big advice is the world is really big, believe me, because I flew around it this summer. It's giant. But it sucks if you're not doing what you love. So thank you.
Thank you so much.